following program is intended for a mature listening audience. Graphic and explicit language may be heard at times. The views expressed and opinions given by the individual hosts and their guests do not necessarily express those of this station or sponsors. Listeners are advised that neither the station nor owners and agents will be held liable for the content of this program. Rebroadcast, redistributed, or reused without the express written permission without the host or producer is not allowed. You are listening to Family Spirit International.
Hello, brother. Hello, brother. It's time to talk about ghosts. It's time to talk about ghosts. I'm so happy. Yay! Listen.
I got to tell you about our little adventure. Go ahead.
Okay, first I want to throw out there something real quick, just quick, because I want to hear all about your excursions. I want to let everyone know that the Spirits of Aiken Ghost Hunt that we had scheduled for May the 11th has completely sold out. It has gotten to where it's completely overrunning the place. They had a very limited availability anyway because of the masters. And so we've actually closed it to just students only at this point because it was pouring out, Blaine. It was getting really bad. So if anybody is interested in trying to get in, please contact myself or Blaine through our normal ways on Facebook, or you can go to FamilySpirit.net, and you can get a message to me that way. I'm sorry, but it's just getting crazy, and tickets are going really fast also for the Ghost in the Haunted Cabin. That's May 25th. Yeah. And it's going to be off the wall crazy. So we're going to have a great time with that. So what happened to you since our last show?
Well, let's see. I went with our good friends, Crystal Hill and Carol.
Oh, yeah.
The Hunting Housewives.
Ghost Hunting Housewives. They adorable.
I love them to death. We went to Pauley Jail down in Union Springs, and they had a group that came down with us from Tennessee. First time ever going. And it was weird, though. You know how Paul is usually really active? We got a few things. We've got like 3 flashlight hits. We got a little bit on the ghost boxes. I was seeing shadow figures, but nobody else could see them but me. I was getting cigar smells, and nobody was smoking cigars.
Well, that's typical for there, isn't it?
Yeah, and what was weird though is like we're up on the 2nd floor, and we're doing a ghost box session, and all of a sudden the spirits go, all males leave. There was me and another guy named Steven. So we was like, all right, dude, you want us to go? We'll walk out. Let the ladies have it. And as we're walking down the stairs, I got down the last 3 stairs at the bottom, and I got pushed by my little buddy, the pedophile spirit, because he's still pissed off because I took his kids away from him.
Yeah, he did that to you on purpose. You got set up.
Oh, he did it to me on purpose. That's okay, though. Like I said, I don't play fair. I said, all right, you want to push me? All right, you already know my bear. Now you're going to meet bear and wolf at the same time. And I swear to God, we got to the door going outside, and I heard him go, please make it stop. I'm like, shouldn't have pushed me, jackass.
That's it. Those of you that watch every week, we appreciate you so much. And if you ever have questions about, how these things are done, we can directly communicate with you either here, you can get in one of the chat rooms, or you can send us messages and we'll respond to you that way. But we use indigenous methods of investigating. I do see that our...
They thought it was...
Okay, I got it. We got it wrong. Yeah.
I think you put the wrong date on the poster that we sent
Probably
to them.
did. Yeah.
It says, hey, thought it was next week. I have to leave in a few, but your message and messenger says April 22nd. and I'm sorry we're not prepared. So that was
Well,
on
I
us.
think that's my fault. Yes.
It's all Lee Brown's fault. Yep. Putting it all on her.
Let me do it. Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. Let's
We'll
see,
have
what
them
did
on
I
next week.
do?
Uh,
Yeah.
we'll have them on next week. That's more than fine. And I do apologize. I love Stan and Teresa to death, but you guys got something to do. Go do what you gotta do.
Yes, absolutely. Well, April the 22nd, we will have them on. I've already updated the poster. Um, on the poster, actually, it says April 14th. So let me fix that real quick. But while we are talking, let's talk a little bit about the con,
Oh,
the Deep South Paracomic-Con.
it's gonna be lit this year. I mean, they've got not only paranormal stuff, they've got Comic Con, they've got costume, cosplay, they've got games for gamers. I think they even have a couple of wrestlers are going to be there this year
Oh,
in
wow.
that area.
I know
Yeah,
that horror people, right?
horror people. I haven't looked at who the guests are yet, but that's changing daily, so they're adding more people. So you can actually, I think it is deepsouthparacomicon.com. I think is what's their website. And you go in there and you can see all the guests. Myself and Lee will be there. Matt, her husband
Yep.
Matt will be there. Mama will be there.
Yep.
Brandon will be there. Let's see.
Here, let me go on Deep South Paracomic-Con.
Yeah. Hi, Crystal. Thanks for a great weekend. It was awesome down there, Paulie. It was fun hanging out. God, we laughed and cut up and had so much fun.
All right. So we have Bill. His name is Bill Perry, Perry. Okay. And who is this guy? He's got a long career in film industry. He's a seasoned stunt performer. And goodness, he was in Predator 2, The Lost Boys in 91, People Under the Stairs, A Home Alone 2, Lost in New York, Nightmare on Elm Street. My goodness, he's a writer. He's published a novelette by his hand. It's a horror novelette published by Red Cape Publishing in UK. And then he has another one that's called Out of His Mind, which is a sequel to the other one. Wow, this guy's really talented. So his name is William Bill Perry. What a cool guy. He looks a little bit like Freddy Krueger. No, not a lot of hair here, but thin, face. I bet you he could have easily done that kind of work. I'm curious to find out what he did on Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah. Very cool. Woohoo! That's fun. Okay, and then American Dead Comics will be there. And the American Dead Comics is, let's see, Austin Light is his name, and he has created this character that is a demon, a female demon. And the demon is actually trying to redeem himself, or herself, excuse me. And all the comics are about her. Very cool. He's got his Bachelor of Fine Arts out of Huntsville, University of Alabama, Huntsville. He graduated in 2020. So all of this work is his. He's done the whole thing. He was there last year. He won one of my door prizes, and he is absolutely, he's a joy, really. Austin Light. He said that he has formed his guinea pig project, and it just took off. American Demon Comics. He's the writer, the artist, the web designer, and the producer. So, wow. He could do it all. That's so cool. He was so kind. He came over. I donated a Ouija board to it, and he came over and wanted me to sign the Ouija board. I thought that was so sweet. Oh, just adorable person. Yeah. Now we have the Fox Family Paranormal coming on. There's Michael and Destiny. And Michael is the co-founder.
Sorry. Some healing. Listen, so I'm sorry, I had to bring this up. Let's all send healing to Michael because he's having some health issues.
Yes.
And they're two great people. So Send all the healing and all the prayers you can to Michael and his wife Destiny, because they are just awesome people.
Yes, they are very precious. I've been in touch with Destiny a little bit, and please be thinking about Michael and love and light sent to him. Please send prayers and blessings, healings, whatever it is that's your calling in your walk. Please send them to him. He's a very deserving, loving person. He has had dedicated years studying the paranormal, ITC research, and becoming a demonology specialist. And that was his walk. And he started the paranormal as a child, walking through cemeteries with his parents. And I met him, good God, years ago before he ever met Destiny, as far as I can recall. And wow, he's just he was the one that helped me make a good purchase on my very first set of night vision cameras, where
Yeah.
I didn't get ripped off. He sent me the website and told me, how to tell the difference between things. And, I was always compasses and candles, and like a handheld camera. But, night vision camera, ooh, that was a big deal back then. So he really helped me out a lot. Yeah, please be thinking of him. Now Destiny, she's in the paranormal since way before she met Michael, and she's an empath and psychic medium with a strong connection to the paranormal, and she believes in providing them with a voice, and aims to bring closure. And she has lots and lots of wonderful stories. She's got a beautiful singing voice as well. They were featured on Repossessed on Hulu, which I was able to film with them. It was quite an honor. And they are on Web Radio Network, which is with Stan and Teresa Fikes. They have their podcast, Fox Paranormal Chat. And let's see what else. She also studies demonology under demonologist Jeremy Leonard, the Cajun demonologist. He was also 28 Days Haunted and
Morgan City.
Thank you.
Morgan City.
My mind went blank. You read my face, didn't you?
Yep.
Okay, my husband is there, and he just got some really cool information. I'll be able to tell you coming up soon. Okay, there's Ghostbuster Ben Bracken. Now let's see who he is. Now, when I say Ghostbuster, he actually has a Ghostbuster, like from the TV show, outfit, and he cosplays as a Ghostbuster.
Mm-hmm.
And he's from Dothan, and he was a cameraman and ring crew for Southeast Extreme Wrestling in Dothan, Alabama. So he worked really hard at his career as a camera person, and then due to physical injuries that prevented him from being able to continue filming and traveling with Southeast Extreme Wrestling, he had multiple neck injuries. Oh my goodness! Apparently well, it says he was a career cameraman. There for a minute, I thought he was wrestling. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. Y'all have to go to deepsouthparacomicon.com and see more about this. But today he is the voice of the New Wave Wrestling. So that's fantastic. He enjoys being part of New Wave Wrestling team. And he's had 15 years of paranormal experience. And he loves wearing costumes and working in, with projects to do. So he looks like a fun guy. Big smile, big man.
Yeah.
Looks like he'd be real interesting to talk to. I look forward to meeting with him. There's you, of course, Sweet Pea, Mr. Blaine Rohan, who has done numerous paranormal conferences, either speaking, making a presentation, or even helping lead ghost hunts. You are a ghost lead with me and help me teach at Piedmont Technical College to the ghost hunting classes that my husband and I teach. And you're a co-author of a book with us called Psychic. So You Think Your Kid's Psychic?
Mm-hmm.
And you taught classes and workshops at their previous paranormal events. Finding your spirit animal and psychic children workshop that we did. Okay, the next person is Ethereal Voices Paranormal EVP. And the team are Colleen and Richard Johnson, and they've been in the paranormal for 25 years. Notice everybody that they're featuring has got tons of experience. They've
Mm-hmm.
been featured in newspapers, magazines, and on television, and they have 2 books of their own out. They are featured on Expedition X, Season 4, Episode 5 and 6. So I'm really excited to hear more about that. Let's see. Colleen is the other half of the EVP team. That's hard. And she's been in the paranormal for 12 years. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So it's another husband and wife team, which tickles me to pieces, you know.
Yeah.
So they told me that they were going to be updating this website very soon. They had a meeting and they were going to be updating more. They do have a cosplay costume contest. They have a haunted investigation, and I can't release any information about that yet. I'll let them put it on the website when they're ready. The workshops that are going to happen this year, drum roll, peek into ghost hunting, your psychic connection, grounding and shielding, and vintage ghost hunting. So peek into ghost hunting, I'll be doing that one. And your psychic connection, I'll be doing that one as well. And Matthew will be doing, my husband is going to be doing centering, grounding, and shielding. And then Matthew will also be doing stepping back in time, exploring vintage ghost hunting. And then there's one that we're going to do, the psychic children one. We'll do that again. I don't think that's updated yet.
Yeah.
On the website. Like I said, she had a lot to do, and updating the website was one of them.
Yeah, I've got a couple I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing, what she's had me do yet. So, but
yeah, it's coming to you, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. But I know we're doing Psychic Kids. I love that class. We had a good class last year.
I was in tears last year. Those children just were so rewarding.
I know. And 2 of our kids we've had that have come both times we've been there, and they'll probably sit in the audience with us again. So I'm looking forward to seeing our little friends again.
I know. I can't wait. These kids are so talented and so open and articulate.
And not afraid to ask a question. That's what I love. They were like not scared. It was like, well, Mr. Blaine, what happens when this, or this, or Miss Lee, what does it mean by this? And they were getting, I mean, young. I guess they're maybe 10 or 11, maybe 12. The oldest one was, but the younger one is just as articulate as the older one was. It was like amazing the articulation that they 2 had.
I know. Amazing. And they could carry on a complete conversation with us at adult level and still be playing like a child. Yes. They could be in the middle of playing, but talking to us like they were a grown adult. Clearly, there's more than something there than most children would be able to communicate with. Let's see. We've got, thank you. Hey, Tom, if I send you the link, you want to come on and let's talk a little bit? We've done that before, and I have some really interesting news for you. I wanted to talk to him a little more. I wanted to ask him some questions about, he had gone some new places, and we were talking about doing some profiling things. Remember, we talked about that before. Very interesting. Oh, I got to do the ghost jar. This one, of course, is by, here, let me, will you send Angels of the Paranormal, Archangels of the Paranormal? Blaine, will you send him the link since my messenger? No. Yeah, he's in there. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to pull back so you can see it. Let me get it turned where you can even read it. This is a candle. Let's see if I can find a piece of paper here. That didn't help it a bit. Let me see if I can get off the screen. Virtual background, none. Oh, that's so much better. So Rachel King makes these beautiful candles. Let's go this way. And the candle is very substantial. It's made of soy wax. And this is not going to crack or break. Like if you drop it, well, I mean, if you knock it down the stairs, I mean, that might crack. But what I mean is if it's lit, it's not going to get so hot that it cracks. This one is called Funeral and Flowers by the Candle Witch Company by Rachel King. And I'm lighting the purple. Yeah. Is this one of my favorite colors?
Hey, Christopher, send Thomas the link for me. He won't let me do it.
Christopher, thank you. I'm about to bring you on, but I don't see your camera on yet. So I'm very excited to tell you that it looks like Hobby Lobby has decided to get on the supernatural train because I was able to buy some, and we're redoing the kitchen and we're painting mostly and putting in, new drawer pulls and the little mechanisms that make them go in and out a little smoother and stuff like that. I'm very happy to say that they had some that had, yes, Candle Witch, that's right. They had some that are quartz, big pieces of quartz like that, and it's to help with clarity and being calm and to declutter your mind. So it helps you not burn stuff basically and enjoy being in the kitchen. And don't forget your recipe. It helps with all the good things of our mind. So I got 4 and I have them on all of my cabinets. Blaine, I'll have to send you a picture.
All
I
right
don't
on.
have, oh no, I got my phone. Hold on. I'll show you right now. Christopher, did you get it?
I got him going now. Just if I could figure out how to.
He'll come in. I just got to show you this. I just thought with Thomas being here, we could talk about more of your jam, your profiling and serial killers. Ooh,
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I want him to talk about what I helped him with something the other day I thought was pretty cool. So
I thought you had mentioned something like that. Can you
Yeah.
see the crystal in the camera? Oh Lord, it went dark. There we go. It's about this big, like a doorknob. So it's a little gaudy looking, but consider what it does. Oh yeah, I love it. It's just so beautiful. Very faceted. It's quartz crystal. One of them is the rose quartz. One of them was the smoky quartz. I was like, yay.
All right, I just sent it the link. So
Okay, cool.
thank you, Patrick. I sent it to you in Facebook Messenger. So Lee messaged me. Oh, okay.
There we go. So I'm apologize. Oh, Christopher's back. There he is. I'm going to bring you on, Christopher. Good day for you to come on. So you've made some new friends out here in the paranormal world.
Yeah.
So tell me, do they follow you on your paranormal hosting?
Sometimes, but sometimes we keep it hush hush.
Oh yeah. Well, cool.
They
I
come
think
from a part of the country that it's not a good idea to really talk about it much.
yeah. So Blaine, what do you have coming up?
Let's see. Well, we got May 11th. We're doing 11th. We're doing Aiken on the 11th.
Yes, it's
Okay.
going to be in Aiken, but it will not be at the Carriage House Inn.
Yeah.
We are working with Dr. Kent Cubbage, and he has a ghost tour that goes through Aiken, and it takes about an hour and a half to do a walking tour of downtown historic Aiken. So we'll be going through St. Thaddeus Cemetery around the outside edges, and he's going to talk about who's buried in there and different things that happened at, like, say, the Hotel Aiken. It's closed now and pretty much condemned. But, the history of it is still absolutely fantastic. We'll be able to go by it. And he's got a lot of other surprises in mind. And after that, while it's still daylight, we want to go see the lost boy. He was very sick, this child, and he was found on a train. He froze to death. And he would have been about 5 years old or so. And the town of Graniteville actually gave him a good burial. So we'll go there. His little grave is covered in toys. I mean, this happened in 1855. And people, after all these years, hundreds of, 150, 60 years, people are still loving on this child. So he was never reported missing. He was never reported, be on the lookout for this child. And of course, like I said, that was 1800s. So I don't know. I don't know anything else other than we love him and wish that he'd had a better life. So we're going to go by there and pay our respects. And there's a couple of experiments we're going to do while the daylight is going on. There's a rumor of an angel statuette that if you put something in the angel's hands and go back a little later, it'll be gone. And nobody ever sees anything move it. So I'm going to put a luggage tag that can be tracked by cell phone and that can ring by cell phone in the angel's hands to see what happens and where it goes. And then we're going to try a new type of equipment that nobody has ever seen before. And I don't know if we're going to do it at that cemetery or we're going to wait until we're in a building. I'm in contact right now with Eddie Rogers, and everyone, please say a little prayer for him. He's been in and out of the hospital. He is still filming movies. He is with the Battle of Aiken. He plays General Wade Hampton, and he's got a perfect regalia for General Wade Hampton, knows the entire history. And when he goes into character, there is no beating him. You will think you're really talking to Wade Hampton. In fact, I've often wondered if he channels Wade Hampton because he is a ghosty and psychic medium as well. But he's been in and out of the hospital, and he's turned over what he was going to do for me to another member of the Battle of Aiken, he plays a Confederate soldier in the festivities for the Battle of Aiken. They said this year was better than so many of the previous years. They were very thrilled how it turned out, but they're getting us some really cool places. So I want to keep it quiet, but we don't have any more space. It's a possibility that I could maybe work somebody in if they're interested. Please reach out to me or Blaine if you're interested. It's not very expensive to attend, but that's why you need to jump on things really quickly, because it seems like people are making a commitment to things that don't take a lot of time to do, that are relatively cheap, as opposed to a long-term commitment that's more expensive. So that's another reason why cruise ships have gone down in price, and they're doing little mini cruises, stuff like that. Workshops are a lot bigger than going to class. There's a lot of things like that. Well, without further ado, I'm going to bring Thomas on, okay? And here he is, Thomas!
Hey,
Brother
Thank
man.
you.
what's going on, my kindred
Hello.
spirits? What's up, Chris?
We
What's up,
are.
Chris?
Not much. How are you?
Oh yeah, we're doing all right. I'm a little tired.
I am too.
I traveled a bit today with Scott Allen. We filmed an episode of Dark Echoes in Pennsylvania.
Yay!
And, yeah, it was a long night. Us
Yeah.
old parts just don't do well with that anymore.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
did Dark Echoes with him. That is fantastic.
Yeah,
Tell people,
I'm sorry.
I was going to say, how can people see it?
Well, I guess they put it out on Paraflix, then it goes on Amazon Prime, and I think they just got picked up by Apple TV.
Oh,
so there's a
good.
lot of stuff going on right now where certain episodes are going to come on. You know, Scott Allen and I seem to be paired up all the time. He's a good friend of mine, great psychic medium. Blaine, you'll meet him in a couple days from what I hear.
Yep, I'll be on this show Wednesday, and he's been on our show, I believe.
Yeah, he has.
And you know, we've done an episode before, and this is the second one, and you know, it's great. You know, it's just part of the community. We work with a lot of different people. You know, it's tough sometimes. It is a weird industry and all that, but you know, I love everybody in the industry, and I just want everybody to know that I want to work with everybody. Again, no matter how you feel about somebody and all that, and I've had this conversation back and forth today. You know what? Let's deal with what's going on, and everybody needs to push forward. This is the paranormal. We all love each other in our own different ways, and let's do it. You know, let's teach people. Let's have people learn about what possibly is going on the other side of the veil. That's what it comes down to. That's the important part.
What a great message. That's right. It's not just about unity, but it's about, you know, acceptance. Everybody wants to be included. And
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people get a little bitter. They don't feel included, or they feel like they're not being heard. And
Yeah.
sometimes the negativity is from that. They're a little bitter.
Yeah. And I know
So,
there's a lot of people, they get upset with each other and all that. I understand that. I do understand. It's like anything else,
mhm.
I've been,
Oh yeah,
I've been with, I've been with, you know, Jody, my fiance, for 17 years.
I know.
And when you love somebody, yeah, you fight and all that, you make up and all that, but it's a tough business, that too. Sometimes we fight, we disagree, but we need to know, hey, it's about the paranormal.
Hmm.
Let's put it aside, and I'm very ferocious about my family too. And just like anybody else, but hey, we got to work with each other. We got to get this message out that, hey, there could be something on the other side, and let's learn about it. Let's help people. Let's heal
Yep.
people. Yeah.
I get it. Tracy Rizzo says hashtag paraunity, and I echo that right now.
Always.
It's like that with everything. I mean, football. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Race car. There's
Yeah.
always somebody trying to one up or complain. There's always a hidden agenda.
Yeah.
Somebody saying something they didn't really mean at the time, and it's taken much harder than it was meant. And then there's people that are just mean,
Yeah.
So we really need to stick together.
I know,
Because
exactly. I'm 53 years old.
you make it look good too.
My fiance, we've raised 4 kids, and I tell you, I so love the paranormal, and it's just it saddens me sometimes that got to go through this and got to be the mediator, got to be this. I don't want to
Well,
harp
it's
on
exhausting. I'm
it. It is.
sorry.
I don't want to harp on it. This is your guys' show. Don't want to be negative or anything like that. Well, did you talk about profiling stuff?
We did. And listen, that's Blaine's jam. Okay.
Yeah.
And Christopher here, he's our little brainiac. So if
Yeah.
you say something that resonates with him, he's going to be getting in there, looking around on stuff. And Christopher's met some really cool people recently. And so, yeah, we're celebrating Christopher. He had a victory over a type of attack recently, and I haven't got any details on it, but I just want to say
demonic and ancestral both.
so.
Wow.
And he was able to get on the other side of it, and he was exhausted after, but he did it.
Yeah.
And Blaine and I are always working on a couple of projects. I actually have 2 that I'm working on. I'll head it off real quick and tell you. One of them is a little boy. He's 3, and he's telling his mom that there's something in his room scratching him.
Mm-hmm.
And we're trying to get to the bottom. Is there something, or is he having this dream? Because he has reoccurring dreams. And so we're trying to figure out, she said sometimes there's scratch marks, sometimes there's not, but it's always where he could reach.
Okay.
And she doesn't know if he's fighting something in his sleep, accidentally scratching himself, or what. So Blaine, if you have any, I'm not giving up names or locations, so I feel safe talking about it. But if any of you think of something or you
I want
feel
to tell
something,
Thomas what happened. I
Okay.
had 4 ancestors that ended up placing a cumulative curse on me, and
oh my God.
and even the original person that immigrated here in the U.S. in the 1670s.
Mm-hmm.
He did one, and that really shocked me. And down the line, and I had that, and plus my biological father, he had a demonic attachment. He was still possessed when he died.
Oh, that's horrible.
So I had to get that off me.
Yeah, there's a thing called familiar spirits. At least biblically, that's what they're called. I'm sure other religions and other people that are spiritualists may have different names. Same thing, different names. Depends on who you ask.
Nowadays, Catholic Church have cut back on exorcists so much.
Oh, they won't do it. Yeah, the legalities and just too much.
And now they blame most things on reflection and manifestation, which is actually a farce, because most people don't know how to poltergeist after the age of 15, and manifestation is a form of poltergeism. And most adults don't know how to do it.
So a familiar spirit is a spirit of a dead person. Okay, familiar spirits in the Bible, okay, were a psychic medium was involved, and they were trying to contact somebody for prophecy means. A dead person in regards to prophecy, wanting to get information from the dead. And that's why it was, ixnay on doing that. You're not supposed to do that. Another word for familiar spirit there's so many. Okay. I'm trying to find it right now, but familiar spirits in general terms, when you talk about what you're talking about, is where a spirit that has been obsessive on one person. Let's say I have the spirit of confusion, spirit of suicide, things like that. And that's the type of lower level demon on me. Now I die. That means that it would go to the next person. And oftentimes it would look like me.
And sometimes it can linger to the familiar, and the familiar and the demon can attach to the victim.
The hard part about familiar, when you say familiar spirits, a lot of people think that you're talking about familiars, like an animal familiar. And that is actually a spiritual entity that is meant to help you. It's the exact reverse, same name. So we can get all tumbled up in these terms, y'all. No wonder people get confused,
Well, there's like you're saying, there's a lot of different terms of familiar with the animal spirits. That's more of the shaman side of you guys.
Exactly.
But there is the religious side of things that some people look at and all that. Like you, Christopher, saying that your father passed away still with a demonic attachment and all that.
I ended up crossing
demonic attachment. Did he have some trauma that he didn't overcome before he passed? Is it more of that than something demonic?
Yeah, it started the trauma when I was born, when he was 21. It really hurt him bad, me being taken away at birth, because I was so sick.
Well, Christopher, do you believe in being able to pray for someone that's deceased? I know that in Catholicism you can do that as part of the religion, but
very much so. And it's actually more ingrained in the denomination I follow, the Eastern Orthodox.
Yeah, he's a Russian Eastern Orthodox. So I wondered if that was the same.
It's actually more accepting of paranormal, the Orthodox faith, than the Catholic.
Yeah, since you told me that's what you are, I actually looked into it myself, and I see your attraction to it. It's pretty interesting.
And it's more to the truth.
What do you know?
We use the basis of it is not the King James version, which the Catholic and Protestant churches both use now. The RSV is based on King James. And we don't do that. We use the Greek liturgy. And
Christopher could probably, if he just took a test to get his master's degree in theology or something, he probably would be able to do it, because that's one of his, see what I mean? He gets involved in a topic and it engrosses him so much that he just has to dig and dig and dig. It's a lot of fun. I have a scripture for you, Christopher. I want to see what you think about it. Are you ready? It's 1 Corinthians 12:10. Okay.
That's one of my favorites.
Is it? And that's where Paul the Apostle mentions the gift of discernment. And actually what he says is, or at least the interpretation that I use, it says that it's John Chrysostom is the one who interpreted this passages. This is the one that I enjoy, the interpretation. It's the ability to tell who is spiritual and who is not, who is a prophet and who is not, who is false and who is true. And that is the gift of being a paranormal medium. being able to tell what's true and what's not, even being able to get glimpses into the future. So the gift of prophecy is the same thing as what we call the gift of being a psychic or a medium.
Speaking of that, you'll find this interesting. In the Talmudic Proverbs, in the non-Zionist translations of the Hebrew Torah,
Mm-hmm.
there's two different schools of thought in Judaism, Zionism and Orthodox, and I use the Orthodox tradition for my research.
I just love him. I just posted in our chat, to everybody about the Paul, the 1 Corinthians 12:10. So you could look at it later, Christopher, if you want to.
It says in this proverb that thou shalt not anger and sully the dead in a graveyard, or the dead shall laugh at you.
I can't remember. Let's
They
see.
laugh anyway,
I'm gonna.
Chris.
I know, baby. They laugh. I get laughed at everywhere. There is a scripture, and I can't remember where it is right now. My mind's not working for me. But basically, it says that if someone's blood is spilled in a and this was I was looking this up for you, Thomas, because we were talking about profiling and things like that. If someone's blood is spilled and it's a what's the word, Blaine, help me, like it was unjust that their blood would sing up from the earth.
Yes.
And that's the talk of a haunting that's created by an unjust death. And so I don't think people realize that.
And the person who did it carries blood guilt.
Exactly. And it's in the Bible, but a lot of people don't realize what's in there and what it means. They don't take it apart. Blood shall sing from the ground, from the earth, meaning that they're not going to rest. Blood shall sing from the earth. This a line from Revelation.
And there are rituals in the Pentateuch. By the way, the Pentateuch in the Protestant and Catholic Bibles is incomplete. You have to include Enoch as well. It's in Pentateuch. It's 6 books in the Orthodox Bibles. You have to include Enoch.
Well, let's put a pause on that one real quick, because I got some things I need to tell Blaine that I think is going to blow his mind. We're talking about on the Christian side of thing, but we also talk about indigenous. And I thought you might like this one too, Thomas. A friend of mine received a bunch of relics from the Hopi Nation because one of their elders, one of their spiritual leaders passed away. And a dear friend of mine that lives in South Carolina, he received these objects from the Hopi Nation to keep safe during the eclipse. And, if the eclipse had been a tumultuous, turbulent time for everyone, they wanted to make sure that this person had a private place to store them so they would not be lost. Because, we're talking about all kinds of attacks and different things that could happen with 4 minutes of darkness and whatnot. So, it could have been really bad, because where that was coming about, the eclipse was going to be near those objects. So it could have been an attack. So all that to say, he has these objects, and they've been in conversation with him about current prophecy. And they believe, the Hopi believe that that this year is going to be significant for our government, and that it will be significant for the earth, doing more things to be more helpful with like, take for instance, we're taking some dangerous turns when it comes to how we are manufacturing meat, how we're growing meat, as opposed to, and then the meats that we get from places, the animals have been, lots of steroids, they grow up too fast, there've been all these chemicals and antibiotics and things like that are in them, can make us sick. And this is supposed to be the year that turns around, and that we will see the error in our ways and be more careful for our health. So let's all keep our fingers crossed that prophecy. It's very seldom we hear a prophecy that's a positive one. I'd like to believe and take hold of something positive, that we're learning more about our health and we're learning more about how to take care of our earth. So
And the reason why that has been allowed to continue, in that same book of the Bible you mentioned, Corinthians,
yeah.
it has a warning about following two masters in regards to keeping the matters of Caesar separate from the matters of the church.
Right.
And it's a form of blasphemy, mixing politics and spirit, but they all do it now.
They all do it now.
And that allows, what that did was, it allows the faux rich, I call it faux rich, investors and real estate people that did not earn their money, to basically be in charge of our society and stuff, like the tax cuts back in 2018 and other things that were gifts to the rich. So the list can go on and on. We're allowing Satan to basically run our lives by doing things like this. I'm sorry.
No, baby, it's okay. I know you're talking about something you enjoy. Yep. And it's true. We allow fear to control our lives. We are. I'm about to get on my soapbox, y'all. I'm sorry.
I'm just gonna enjoys that.
Yeah, I'm gonna just say it. We're so worried about trying not to offend someone that we're learning not to stand up for something that we believe in, and I want everybody.
Y'all, I'll be right back. Jennifer needs my assistance. I'll be right back. Keep talking.
Okay, hon. So that's just how I feel about that. I think we need to spend a little more time paying attention to the people in our lives and how we can love on them.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, what do you have going on? We were talking a bit, Thomas, about profiling. Yes. And what have you worked on recently that you can talk about?
I'm always working on stuff. I do Tuesday morning cereal, things like that.
I know.
And I'm always working on stuff. It's just life in general. I'm constantly profiling. Just
that's who you are.
Paranormal is just such a crazy thing. The business of it, the everything, the people that you meet, and everything like that. It never ends. I'm a firm. I just want to tell people you're not going to get one over on me. Sorry. Sorry in front, and I just want to let you know I do love everybody in the paranormal. I want it to go forward, and let's leave it at that. All right.
Now, I think that's fine. Exactly. I think people need to stop trying to spread. I don't think people realize how serious it is to spread negativity.
Yeah, it is. Well, that's where it starts. You could drive somebody, doesn't matter. People have trauma and you push it the wrong way, then bad things could happen. All right. Mm-hmm. That is how we look at these profiling serial killers. They all go through trauma. That's pretty much what puts them in that direction. What makes their mind react at that moment, to do what they do. There are patterns. But every serial killer that I've ever studied still has that fingerprint, the difference amongst the pattern and all that.
I've been doing some, and just sort of watching. I'm interested in what in the world makes somebody so crazy that they would want to make them turn. And how do you become a serial killer? What makes up a serial killer? And what I see is there's a personality type, and then there's environmental, and then there's inborn temperament. Okay, yeah. There's both, but I really feel like we've seen so many things happen recently, and it happens so quickly right now.
Yeah,
that we're creating more than what is actually born as bad, as negative and evil. I look at Ed Gein, You know, he was created. I don't feel like he had the mental capacity that he would have as a serial killer, but the way that he lived and the way that he had to survive after you know what I'm saying? The way he had to survive being a victim to his mother all that time, and the way he had to deal with it, the brokenness of it all, I feel like that's what created this man, this killer.
And it's funny, we look at Ed Gein and we call him a serial killer. Technically, by number, he's not really a serial killer.
Right. Because
he's only actually killed 2 people. Technically, under serial killer thing is you kill 3 with a distance of time in between. Most of the people that he made these skin suits with were he would
dig up folks,
reinter people and dig them up. And
he was big into recycling.
But the funny thing is almost every main character in every movie we see is based off of him.
Yeah, just because it's so gross. I mean, doing this to the dead.
It's just so crazy. You think about it. It's like,
I mean, fiddling with the dead. No, thank you.
Yeah, we're fascinated as a society to see this stuff because, just like you said, why do people do this? And when we ask that question, why do people do this? It's fascinating. It's the same thing with the paranormal. What happens to us? It's the same question. That's why people are fascinated about it. That's why they read about it. That's why they try to study it. That's why they're trying to look for answers. Are we ever going to find the answer? No. Are we ever going to try and figure out why a serial killer does what they do? No, we're not.
We can't.
Keep looking at it. Nobody ever knows why people do what they do. There's
just looking for patterns. We said it at the same time. Looking for those patterns, trying to come up with something.
Great minds think alike there, my dear. But
you know,
that's what it is. So.
What's his name? Okay, come on. Big man, co-ed killer.
So you're oh my God, I'm old and tired.
I know.
Edmund Kemper.
Thank you, Ed Kemper. Yep. That man, he's a victim of a horrible mother. He was isolated. He was mistreated. He was abused by more than one member of the family.
Yeah, his own sisters were abusive of him too. Also,
so they not only were abusive to him, but they raised abusers to be abusive to him. Yep. And you know, I watched the TV show Mindhunter. Yeah. And Ed Kemper was his portrayal was in that movie. And when he talked about when he basically turned himself in.
Yeah.
And first of all, what impressed me was that he said that once he was caught and he was handcuffed and they were taking him to the car, he passed by a woman and she spoke to him and he vomited. That he was just so overcome by emotion that he vomited. That's how much social anxiety was created for him in his life. And then, of course, he had some sort of personality disorder. So add that and that other together, that's like fire and explosion, fire and gas.
Exactly. So, it's crazy because Edmund Kemper, anytime he'd have a disagreement with his mother, and he would get angry, and the only way to relieve his anger is he'd go out and kill somebody.
He said
he finally killed his mother.
Mm-hmm.
It all
his grandparents and his mom, and put her vocal cords down into the food processor so she couldn't talk to him anymore.
Exactly.
Now, what kind of pain?
He put her head on the bed after he cut her head off, which is crazy, and screamed at her just to get his anxiety, everything you talked about, out. And then he was done. He was like, okay, I'm going to turn myself in. He said it's such a fingerprint because he isn't like all the other serial killers. He does have pattern, but he's so different than everybody else.
Well, he does have a moral compass. Yeah. Because he said they asked him in the movie, at least. I don't know how true this is. I'm trying to fix my T-shirt that's rolling up. Excuse me for reaching around. But in the TV portrayal of him, they asked him, "What do you think is a just justice for you for what you've done to these people?" And he said he thought he needed to be tortured to death. That would be what would be. I mean, he's a genius when they tested his IQ.
Yep.
And he said that if he wanted to continue, he would have, and that the police would not catch him. He knew that he needed to be caught in order to stop.
Yeah.
Now, how crazy is that to have the kind of knowledge, and when you see him having such a lack of control in one hand, but having enough control to say, hey, come take me in. I'm evil and I can't stop.
Yeah.
How can you have that kind of?
That's psychopathy.
Is that what it is? Psychopathy?
Sociopathy is when you don't have a moral compass and you still do it. You're basically cold-blooded.
Mm-hmm.
I've met people like that.
Yeah.
Spiritually, I had a situation where I was, I was trying to help a client, and this person was involved. And when I was able to kind of connect to their energy, their spirit, I saw them. And I saw, and this sounds really weird, but I saw another, when I took that spiritual dive into trying to figure out what I was peeking around in in the energy, trying to figure out what was wrong. And I actually came across a set of eyes looking back at me. And I realized that not only was he mentally deranged, I guess you'd say, I don't know what the right word would be, but this was not his first go around. He had been that crazy maniac in previous lives.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think about, okay, I'm just going to say it. I worry about that. And I've had a lot of spiritual interactions with people that are, that have had something happen. They were victimized by someone that is a sociopath, psychopath. And what ends up crossing my mind, if we're going to put them to death without trying to do some type of intervention to rehabilitate, and they reincarnate, have we accomplished anything?
They found that they're starting to with psychopaths called schema therapy.
It's called what, Christopher?
It's called schema therapy. Sociopaths they have not been able to do anything with yet. And what's reason why they can with psychopathy is because they don't have that part that deals with moral compass gone.
Okay. So I'm pulling it up, Christopher. I'm catching up to you. All right. So this is a principle of a schema model. What am I looking at, dude? Personality disorders and complex difficulties. Schema therapy combines proven cognitive behavioral techniques with elements of interpersonal and experimental psychodynamic therapies.
Yeah.
Dude, you just got me some reading.
They were able to get teenagers that were diagnosed psychopathy as kids to actually function in society if they were institutionalized
soon enough.
At that age.
Well, there is pattern. There is pattern to everything. And just at a very young age, there is the triad that people talk about, which isn't actually proven, but it is like an indicator of the possibility of somebody being of that psychopathic nature or anything like that, or just not.
They found it in many cases.
Wait a minute. Hold on, Christopher. Hold on a minute.
They wet their bed up to the age of, past the age that they should be able to stop wetting the bed. They're cruel to animals. They are arsonists. They like to light things on fire, things like that.
Yeah, I saw that.
Triad. And then as they get older, those things manifest. And like he's talking about, not every serial killer is a psychopath. So
no,
there is different environmental things that you talk about, what they're born with, what they learn.
Blaine's back. Yay!
I anybody want to adopt two damn bad dogs? They tore two posts off my fence that I had to go replace, or we would have had two more dogs.
Oh
Oh, lost
no.
two dogs. I'm so mad right now.
I wondered what happened. So your dogs got into trouble?
No, they're in trouble.
Oh no.
Uh,
They think they're babies, so this is a big deal. Luna
Oh,
came to see me. She was looking for you, Blaine, but I
Oh,
sent her
sorry,
on.
Luna.
oh. The other thing they found, Thomas, that they were able to, but with sociopaths, it's not been really clear, but with psychopaths, they were able to find abnormalities in imaging, brain
Yeah.
imaging.
Hey, Blaine, I'm going to get you caught
I'm
up. We're
sorry.
talking about schema therapy
Mhm.
as a type of therapy for people that are sociopaths. Or is it psychopaths?
Psychopaths.
There's 5 types. There's 4 goals and 5 types that they are trying to treat. And Thomas was just telling us about some examples of types of tendencies that people that have
Mhm.
these types of maladaptive coping mechanisms,
Mhm.
like being arsonists, being cruel to dogs, and
Yeah.
what were the other things, Thomas?
Well, the triad, what it is at a very young age, that there's indications that they can become this type of thing. Again, it's still the flip of the mind still, but there are indications that parents should be aware of and, get them that help. They wet the bed past the age when they should be able to control, their bed wetting. And there is, they like to light things on fire. They're arsonists and all that. They have that obsession with fire and that type of thing, that type of violence. And, the cruelty to animals that they have, which when you look at all the different patterns, and you said you watched Mindhunter and all
I
that,
did, yeah.
they interview all these people, and you really look at somebody like Dahmer. His father actually curated his obsession with roadkill and things like
Mhm.
that, and the death of animals and how he looked at it and the obsession with it. And yeah, there's you look at them all, they all have those different things. And again, like I said, they're all patterns,
But there's
but
some
every
out there
serial
like
killer has a fingerprint that they're all different, and you can't pinpoint it. It's
well,
like the paranormal. You can't figure out.
when you got somebody Thomas like Thomas Krasinski,
Yeah,
that man grew up in a perfect family.
yeah,
He was well loved. He didn't hurt animals. He didn't catch fire. He
yeah,
liked just to kill people.
yeah,
He was a hitman, so he loved and he felt no remorse about it. And he
yeah,
go after he do a job, he go have a cup of coffee and eat a donut, and then
yeah.
drive home and sit with his wife and kid like nothing happened.
What? Hey, Christopher, check the private message.
But you're right, Blaine. You're talking about a hitman and all
Yeah.
that. Hitmen are considered serial killers too because
Yeah.
they fit the pattern. They kill multiple people, more than 3. There's time in
Mhm.
between, but a lot of them are being paid.
Oh yeah.
There's the psychosis of a lot of serial killers are motivated by money.
Yeah.
Look at Belle Guinness.
Yeah.
She was a female serial killer. She married people and took out, in case they died, she would get money, and she was killing them all off. She was all burying them in the backyard and
She
killing
was
them off
black.
to get money. The same thing with H.H.
Yeah.
Holmes.
Oh, yeah.
Are you talking about what was the lady's name you mentioned?
Belle Guinness.
Belle
There's
Guinness.
another one from Edgefield, South Carolina that's oh, good grief. It's not my day for names. I'll tell you what it is, but she was marrying folks and knocking them off.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was the woman, I forget her name, but they called her she giggled. I think I might cover this maybe I'll do this for tomorrow's Tuesday morning serial.
Right on.
So we're talking about it. But she killed, she had many husbands, and she even killed kids that she had, and she would take out.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Becky Cotton. Praise God, I figured it out.
But this woman that I'm talking about anytime the police would talk to her about the killing she did, she would just giggle at them. It was a joke to her. She would giggle. So, and I don't think it's the same person you're talking about, but that's like another one. But
Oh,
there's so
I
many
wrote
of them.
going ahead.
It's just crazy.
Oh,
telling me that giggle was her defense mechanism. That's what she hid
Yeah.
it. She laughed about it because she probably got to relive it when they talked about it.
Yeah.
And got that thrill all over again.
Yeah.
Like you said, she's giggling about it. And it's like, can't prove it. You know,
Yep.
keep
A
talking
lot
about
of them, it's they killed for money.
Yeah.
You know, there's always a motivation of some sort or another that's so different than a psychological psychosis. They're motivated by money, and that's their means to an end, and they make it normal for themselves where we know it's not normal. So, you know,
that is perfectly normal. And it's like, you got somebody like John Wayne Gacy.
Oh yeah.
And then it's like, I don't remember him doing anything where we like hurt animals or stuff like that.
No.
He was just a fat kid. His dad made fun of him. And he did like wearing women's clothes. That was his little spiel. He liked walking around in his mom's underwear. But
yeah. But with Gacy, it was more of a control thing.
Yeah,
he did have a split personality, you know, being the killer clown. He did have two different clown personalities, you know, Pogo and I forgot another name of the clown personality that he had. He had the sad clown, he had the happy clown, and his psychosis showed there.
Yeah.
But Gacy was more of a control person because growing up, his father was abusive to him and all that. And when you're pinpointed into that point where somebody's constantly telling you what to do all the time, and you just want to get that control and that anger. And as you get older and you manifest that, that's why he did. He grabbed control of people and killed them because he felt that control. That's what you have to be careful of how you bring up your kids. You know, you can't be that way. You never know what's going to happen. Not every kid's going to grow up and be a serial killer, of course.
Yeah.
But we need to be cognizant of those patterns and what might be going on and approach them. So like I do on Tuesday Morning Serial, I'm not glorifying serial killers. I am trying to teach people that this is craziness that's out there, and that we need to help people in society with these psychological issues.
Exactly. That's the reason I'm so fascinated with serial killers. I want to know what psychologically says, okay, I'm going to go kill 30 women. Or I'm going to go choke 5 little boys. You know, I want to know their mindset. What makes them think that that's okay?
Yeah.
In this society, but to them, it's like nothing. And they like a lot of them, you know, have lives. They have wives and kids. And
how they can separate? What was BTK guy?
BTK.
Yeah,
I mean, he worked in a church.
Yeah, he was a deacon of a church and had his own family and all of this.
Dennis Rader was BTK killer. Yeah, that was a big one.
It's horrible what he was capable of doing and who he was.
But it was a control thing. It was all ego.
It was all ego.
Sexual deviance, but all ego with him. So
when you look at the man, he wasn't that big of a man. He was about 150, 160 pounds. He was a little skinny, bony guy. And I could see, okay, maybe he needed that control. He liked that control.
Yep.
And he got I wonder if he relived, if he kept trophies and relived his killings, or he I know he went and revisited a lot of them he killed.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't know about the BTK killer was when he was killing people and all that, the area that he was doing that, they were so afraid that they wanted to have alarm systems in their home because BTK was breaking in. And Dennis Rader was actually working for the alarm system company at the time. He was putting alarm systems in at homes for people that were freaking out about him. So how would you feel that the actual guy that's been killing people was putting in the alarm system at your home?
And he has a backup alarm code that he could go in the alarm
at any time if he wants. He could shut them all off if he wanted to. Nuts.
Yeah, it is.
Yep. Like, how do you trust anybody in society with stuff like that, you know?
I don't know. I'm very leery.
Yeah.
I guess it's my military training, but I'm always watching over my shoulder. I'm always checking my 6, always checking my right and left and forward of me. And luckily, being empath medium, I can tell if you got ill intent the first time I even look at
Yes, you
you.
can.
Yeah.
You are dead on with that. Me, I want to heal people.
Yeah.
Oh, they've got a problem, Blaine. Yeah, and leave them alone. And I'm like, no, let me try to help them. He's like, Lee,
Well, back
back
off.
off.
There ain't no an amount of stuff we can do to help some of these people. It's best just to let them go their own way out of yours.
Yeah. It is crazy. I've working in the prison system. I've seen some of the most evil people in the world.
I can only imagine. I
The
need to
intent
tell
in
you.
their eyes. Their intent
That's
in
it.
their eyes.
Yeah.
All right, here we
Yeah.
go. I have a student that was also a prison guard. Okay.
Mhm.
And he's seen he's seen too much. He's got PTSD real bad. He was a police officer and he was a prison guard. Blaine, I haven't told you about him yet, but he's going to be one of your students.
Okay.
Bless his heart, he was taking care of this particular inmate, and they called him a cannibal, but he was in general pop. Something happened and they started seeing blood running, and he told the lady that was there, don't come this way, I'll go check. She's like, no, I'm calling for help. He said, I'm going to see if anybody's in trouble, there's blood. And when he got there, the guy that was in prison, the one that they called the nickname of cannibal, or I don't know, something, whatever it was, he had killed the man in his sleep and had cut the guy open with a toothbrush filed to a point and was eating
Yep.
his entrails. And that was it for my guy. That was
Yeah.
it.
I'm sure it
Um,
would be.
yeah, and between him being a police officer and a child, there's things there, and I can't tell too much about that one because then people might put it all together. But he's having. Then his father passed away. Blaine, here we go. This is. I need you again. I hate to ask you for all the readings in the world tonight, but my student, bless him, he said that he was on his way out the door the day before his dad fell, and I almost called him by his name. He said that he stopped into his dad's room and said, "Look, you've given up. You've quit trying. You fell, and I've got your canes here and crutches and whatnot, and your walker. Um, he had the flu for like 2 weeks straight, this guy. And he said, I don't feel, I don't feel like I'm strong enough to be lifting you up like this, trying to talk to him. You're giving up, Dad. I'm not going to let you give up. He put him to bed. Everything was fine. The next morning, he woke his child up and was taking him to school. And they, yelled off to Grandpa, goodbye, we'll see you later. And he was like, okay, bye, love you. And the next thing when they came back home was when the child got out of school, and my student picked his son up from school and came in the door, and they were headed to Grandpa's room, and Grandpa had passed away, standing on his crutches, leaning against the door.
Wow.
So he had, it was perfect, balance there to where he was still standing. He didn't, you know, and he had like a massive heart attack or something. And so my student was trying to resuscitate, and that was lots of, you know, trauma there, and lots of throwing up and things. But here's the thing: when the body was picked up, and they said that he had died during the night about 3 a.m.
Hmm.
Who told them bye when they were leaving?
His spirit.
Right. That's what I said, because he feels like he's crazy, but his grandson, well, his son, excuse me, the grandson tells, I heard it too. I heard it too. So it's going to be one of the things whenever you come this way, we're going to go over there, Blaine.
Yeah.
And
I need to give him closure. Both of
yeah,
them.
well, like I said, he'll be one of our students, and
Okay.
but the place, when we went over there, we started getting correspondence back and forth on some of our equipment from a girl that said her body was in the creek and wanted us to go find her. Now we got a whole nother thing. And what time first of all, how old are you? Second of all, how long ago was this? Are we going to really go out there and find a body? Or are we talking about hundreds of years? And where? So, I'm just, and we started getting, of course, like EVPs and stuff from the neighbors who speak another language. These languages were coming through, and our equipment was never turned on in the neighbor's presence. We weren't there for the neighbor. And I said, why are we getting, this from another language? And he's like, well, my neighbor's French.
Mm.
And so here's this whole thing. So here I am speaking French in one room in this equipment, trying to figure out what in the heck's going on there. And we'll find out, oh, my neighbor's French. And then we've got this girl in the front room saying my body's in the woods, in the creek. And then we've got the grandpa who died on the property. And he's saying that he's worried about the teenage granddaughter.
Mm-hmm.
And she owns, I've come to find out, here she is, 12, and she owns tarot cards, Ouija boards, dowsing rods, no supervision. They didn't even know she had it all. So she's been trying to communicate with spirits. So I don't know what she may have been talking to, because she doesn't have like the gift of prophecy, like we are just talking about, or being a psychic medium, however you want to phrase that terminology. She doesn't have the discernment, meaning she can't weed through to see if it's really a spirit that says that's who they are, or is this a trickster or something that has an ulterior, very deadly, or at least deceptive motive. We got a mess. We got a mess.
We need to take her under our wing.
Well, that's what I thought too, but discipline is a problem.
Yeah.
Big time.
Not with me, it won't be.
Well, that's the thing, because if I have someone that will not obey what I'm saying and do things in a manner that they feel it should be done, not what I'm asking them to do, now what?
But there are predatory spirits.
That's what I'm concerned about, and that's one of the reasons why I brought it up to you.
It's still the predatory spirits. There's still the profile of people that are still predatory. They don't know they died, and they're still trying to do the same things, and they're attaching to people. They're not demonic or anything of that nature. They appear to manifest that way for us. Most people, these people do their YouTube videos or whatever. They go, oh, it's demonic. No, it really isn't.
Nope.
Sometimes you don't leave that stuff behind.
No.
Even Herb Baumeister's spirit is still running around up there in that Ohio area in his home and all that, where he killed a whole bunch of people by the pool he had in his house. I don't know if you know the story about.
No, I'm sure Blaine does. Yeah.
Yeah. But his spirit is still around and still, giving people the heebie-jeebies and that influence that's still there. It's still there. It doesn't leave, unfortunately. Some people that have those traumas or have done bad things stay behind, and they're still trying to do those things.
Thomas, I deal with those all the time.
Yeah.
I say, well, they're an ass in life, they're going to be an ass in death till they're
Isn't it the truth?
And I mean, I don't know how many serial killers victims I've run across, or how many serial killers that actually died that I've come across, or how many pedophiles, rapists that I've come across spirit form. A lot.
Yeah.
A whole lot.
Well, even you guys are in that area we talked about before. I don't know. Pee-wee Gaskins is in your area.
Yeah, he's in my area, and I have a case. I'm trying to get in touch with the guy. I really feel like there's some people buried under the property that he's got his store, not the store itself on, but it's nearby. And it has to be, because, I mean, he calls it Thunderdome. He vacuums like crazy. He's got strips hanging to show there's no air blowing. He's got the air conditioning off, or heat, whatever, off. He's vacuumed to make sure there's no dust. I mean, he's meticulous. and then he can sit in there with his security system, and he calls it the Thunderdome. It just lights up like a disco, and it's all these orbs moving around and things going on and the voices coming through. He has a Bible he keeps on his desk. It got completely knocked across the room.
Wow.
I mean, it's insane. And they say he's coming, and then they've actually said Gaskin.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty intense place.
Well, it's crazy when you're nicknamed the meanest man in the country. So,
Yeah, he was so tiny.
Yeah.
Kind of the same personality, it looks like, as Charles Manson, but he
Yeah.
certainly wasn't as persuasive as Manson. He was just an asshole like Manson.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't know is the trauma of Pee Wee Gaskins is he was neglected. A lot of people don't know until his first court case when he was a teenager. He didn't realize his name was Donald. He always thought his name was Pee Wee. So
Wow.
that's how bad it was. So
Yeah.
he didn't even know what his given name was on his birth certificate until it was told to him in court.
Did he know I don't think he knew his birthday, did he?
No, didn't know his birthday, didn't know any of that stuff.
He was like a little throwaway child.
Yeah, pretty much. And then you could see
that's not a such thing, but I know a lot of families that have done that.
Yeah, but it is a pattern. It's a pattern. You see that, and you could see why he is the way he is, but you still wonder, why did he become that way? There's a lot of people that go through the same thing and come out successful.
Yeah.
So what is that one thing that makes you do what you do? So.
And it could, like you said, dude, it could be anything that triggers that person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That you might not seem suspected it triggered. It could be something as stupid as like a Bugs Bunny cartoon that triggered him. Or something even worse is like he saw somebody hit a dog and run over a dog. It could be something just, or it could be a simple word that somebody said to him.
Yeah.
That just triggered the whole thing off.
That's so scary. That's so scary.
I know, it is.
It is. Anybody could go off at any time. That's why we need to be kind to each other. And
it goes right back to our previous point that you first came on. I've been trying to just build peace and just be calm, and that was my point. We don't know the people that are around us, whether they've had a good background or they've got good genetics or if they've got good mental stability. If this is going to be their trigger, and it's real easy to think,
Well, you forgot, guys, what we're in the paranormal business, right? You think about it. A lot of people that are drawn to the paranormal are people with trauma. They go towards the darkness. They're not all. I know that they're drawn to it, and I'm never going to tell anybody that you shouldn't be drawn to the paranormal. It's such a wide open thing, but some people are drawn to it in the wrong way, and they don't realize it. And this is where a lot of the trauma happens. This is where a lot of the bad stuff happens is, we need to take care of who we are, and we need to take care of the people around us. And
one thing
that's
for
what it
sure,
comes down to.
all of us in the paranormal have been in grief.
Exactly.
One thing or another. We've been touched by loss or grief. We have questions about life and death. We have some type of special ability, whether it's ability to analyze and be scientific, or it's the ability to be a psychic, or that we hear voices. And when you talk about somebody that hears voices, you can teeter-totter right there between somebody that's really gifted or somebody that might be schizophrenic. Okay. So when you're dealing with how people go about experiencing something that's already a pseudoscience, and B, something that's totally macabre. Okay. We're talking about something that's totally macabre. I think there's error in the way of caution is not a problem. You should definitely do that.
Well, but that's what I do. That's what I've done for a living for many, many years. You guys know I've been involved doing this stuff and it's developed over the years for almost 40 years now. And when you heal both sides of the veil, the living and the dead, that's the thing you have to discern when you sit with somebody that's having a problem. You have to discern, is it actually paranormal? Is it actually something that they need medical help with?
That's right.
We need to care about everybody. And again, We're in the paranormal. We deal with people, doing these paracons. People come, they tell us their stories. Even people that we work with, we don't know people's frame of mind, what they've gone through, what their trauma is, why they're involved in the paranormal and all that. But we need to care about each other and be able to work them through that, because they get involved for a reason. And we need to help them with that reason and that calling. So,
Thomas, you're dead on with that, man.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a great blessing to have the gifts that we have.
Yeah.
And I love sharing my gifts with anybody that wants to learn.
Yeah.
And like you said, everybody has their own reason for being in the paranormal. They had some paranormal experience, or they're just curious. Mine's a curiosity thing, because I want to know, after I'm dead and gone, is there something different or better for me after this life, this plane of existence?
Yeah. But it's funny that you say that. It's funny that you say that, Blaine, is like you talked about earlier. I don't know, Lee, I don't know if you know that I had contacted Blaine earlier this week.
He told me, but I didn't get to get details. I'm ready to hear about that. If you can talk about it, though,
Exactly. And I think it's important. I think people that are watching right now, this is important to hear, especially I know Blaine, and I know how good he is at getting certain things. And when you care about each other and you respect each other, and some people, not me, because I'm not an ego guy, but you have to put your ego aside sometimes and know that who could help you.
Yes.
So I did an event last weekend, not this past weekend because I was doing the TV show, but the weekend before, I did an event, and it was this haunted trolley museum. And one of the rail cars that we investigated was from New Orleans. And the first night, because it was 2 nights, the first night I had something reach out, getting some information on our instrumentation about a gentleman that wanted to go to college. So I was like, I didn't know what that meant. And it kind of stuck with me. But then the second night, I think the spirit became a little more comfortable. And me, I'm an empath, but I'm not really like you guys, psychic mediumship to be able to talk to spirit. But sometimes, occasionally, it's only happened maybe a couple times in my life. It's undeveloped, but I've had things come through, and I have grasped onto that mediumship psychic ability that it's come through. So
Blaine's a good person for you to contact, because he's very knowledgeable when it comes to serial killers and types of psychic disorder, what am I saying? Psychopathic types of disorders. There it is. Personality malfunctions. So between that and his psychic ability, he's just the right guy for. Plus New Orleans, so that's the guy you need.
So, but as it goes is, we're on this trolley, and the guy that was giving us the tour, and then I let a lot of the patrons use equipment so they could learn how to do this properly. I'm in teaching mode, so I wasn't really prepared for this, but it really came through, where the gentleman that came through the first night came through again a little stronger, and he wanted to go to college, and the mel meter started going off really high, and the guy that was giving us the tour felt a lot of energy, felt like he was falling back, and I could see this happening, where I felt like I had to take control of the situation. And I said to whoever is over there with that energy, you need to come and talk to me. Let's face to face. I realized that you wanted to go to college. And as I said that, it was almost like it gave its energy to me. And I started in my brain, in my mind, I started getting pictures that this was the 40s. This person went off to war. All right. He went off to war, and I felt like he died. And You know, I felt like he died and he never got the chance to go to college. And that's his trauma. And that's what's kept him behind. So I started trying to talk to the spirit. And I said to it, I says, well, you gave your life to our country.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right. And the people on the train the trolley right now were very quiet. They realized what was going on. And I said, because you gave your life to our country and you made the ultimate sacrifice, that's your degree. You know, you got your college degree. You don't need to be here anymore. You have free will. You completed what you wanted to do. You just didn't realize it. And all of a sudden the meter just stopped. It was like at almost like 30, 40 like milligauls. It was crazy. And you could feel the energy just totally cease.
At least.
Yeah. And people just on the train were the trolley were like, what the hell just happened?
Yeah.
And one of the people that were on the trolley with me has been doing this for a long time, since the 70s. He says, I've never experienced this in my almost 50 years of doing this. And she says, It was incredible. But the thing that got me, the reason why I called Blaine is because when I went to sleep that night, I felt like there's something more to this. I knew the guy's name was Billy. And I'm like, I can't get a last name. And I know how good Blaine is with getting last names. So I instant messaged him and told him a little tidbit of the story. Not even 2 minutes later, he got back to me with, I think his name was LaRue.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay. So I decided to look up anybody from Louisiana that was at World War II with that name. There was a William LaRue that went off to war, but he didn't die. He lived to be 85. He died out in California, which led me to believe, which the thing that bothered me that answered the question was, most military people, when they go off to war and they experience what they do, there's a different type of death.
Yes.
All right. There's the death of the PTSD, that what you experience keeps you from achieving your goals. Your soul dies as you live because of what you've seen and what this world could do to you. And he never was able to achieve what he wanted to do for college. And because of Blaine helping me, I don't think I ever would have got sleep, because there was so much stuff bothering me. And it was almost like my spirit guides told me to reach out to Blaine, because I knew he would find the last name and lead that trail, that string of clues to get to what the answer was. And that's important. That's important. That's para-unity right there, knowing
Yes, it is.
that you have friends that know a little bit more about certain situations and who to call, and and maintain that friendship, and be able to do that, because that helped that spirit.
Oh,
yes, it did.
That's what it's all about, and knowing his story and how to help him possibly make that decision to move on because of that.
Yeah,
So,
and you helped him as well, because he had it on his chest the whole time. Like, circumstances happened.
Yeah,
he probably got married, had kids, had to get a job, and didn't have the income to go. Even though the military would have paid a little bit during World War II, it was very little.
Oh God,
not
terrible.
Like they got better stuff on like housing than they did education. They gave him nice houses now. Well, for what you call them, but yeah, you helped him out a lot, because he had that just building up in him.
Yeah.
And he thought about that every day that he was alive, and every day since he passed. And now that you talk to him, you let him get it off his chest, and you don't know how much that relieved that man.
But it is. It's recognized. You understand that, Blaine and Lee. You understand they recognize you as your spirit. Mm-hmm. I'm open to him, but I have my own experiences. My mom lived her whole life always wanting to be a nurse and never got her chance to be a nurse. And we've talked about this. Yeah. That trauma, she always wanted to do that. But, even with anything, this guy wanted to do that. I had another case that I don't know if I told you guys about, where this boy was getting scratched And we found out they had empath, the psychic ability. And the guy was just trying to reach out. He felt the kid was a beacon of light, wanted to tell his story. We got his story. Who was a World War II vet, same thing. Went through the PTSD, became an alcoholic, treated his family badly, and he was never able to really pass from this plane to the next plane because he felt guilt. And he said to us in spirit, can you please put flowers or my daisies on my wife's grave? And we were able to do that, and everything stopped. So those are the things that you have to do, in spirit, like those things that come to you at certain times.
Yes.
I know I'm an empath. I feel that energy, but like I said, there's only been a few times in my life that I actually connected. I saw the pictures. I filled in the blanks, and you're not always totally correct, but you're on the same path. Where like the two different types of death, that death of the soul of what you went through and never able to do what you did, you didn't actually die. There's the mental death and the physical death that we have to endure as we're, alive.
Now, Thomas, with you, the reason you get stuff at certain times because you're not blocking yourself. You've got the gift. Don't think about it. Let it happen. I call let it flow.
Yeah.
And when you don't think about it, that's when stuff comes to you. So stop thinking about it and just let it happen, because they are talking to you, and you can hear and see them.
You're definitely right. I do hear my family a lot. They reach out to me and smells and things like that. And I'm Irish and Italian. I'm a stubborn son of a bitch. So,
well, I like that about you, buddy.
It does block me at times and all that. I just, I have to quiet my mind. I think I just don't. I'm so wanting to do so much stuff, and I just don't have it in me to quiet my mind. And I know that's something I have to work on.
The three of us have something very similar. We are analytical expressive.
Mm-hmm.
We are both. And sometimes my analytical side supersedes my expressive or spiritual side. Sometimes I'll second guess myself, especially with names. I mean, says the girl Triana, I worry about people saying my name wrong because it usually comes out latrine, and we all know that's a toilet. So, I don't like being called a toilet, and so Triana, right? I'm worried about names, and I worry about things being, wrong. So, I try, if you look on Repossessed, there was a one episode where I was able to get initials. And then finally, I'd calmed down and I said his name, and at least part of it. And I was so excited, and then I nailed it, and I wish I didn't second guess myself so much. But then, but my problem is that sometimes I'll just be too quick to say a name or whatever, or say a feeling, and I'm wrong. And then it's like, wait a minute, I didn't really feel that. Why did I bother saying it?
But see, you were not wrong. For one, for what happened is you were communicating with one spirit, and then another one jumps in and says, "No, my name's Billy."
Oh yeah, I have them feud. That's true.
They do that a lot. So whatever name is given to you, say it, because you didn't come up with that name. It came to you to say, "My name's Billy," or "My name's John."
Yep.
Or I'm just stepping on Steve over here,
Right. Well, I will say this. In a way, you were part of the cemetery club, even though you were on a train, because you did help somebody get into the spirit realm that they needed to be in. We have been in cemeteries, Blaine and I and my husband, the three of us. We've been in these places, and oh my gosh, we've got Civil War soldiers fighting. We've got here's the rebels, and here's the Union soldiers, and they're still fighting. They don't know the thing's over, and we have that. We've had one where the little boy got his heartbeat back. He was playing with the teddy bear I have, and it was going blink, 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 and he died of a heart problem, and he just thought it was the greatest thing. I was ready to take him with me, and Blaine's like, Lee, he can't leave his family, and I was like, oh, I'll take you, baby.
Oh
you gotta
my
give
God.
Thomas the whole story, though. We
Go
did
ahead.
we did a ceremony. There was a Confederate general or a colonel that was buried, but they put the church over the top of him, and
Really?
they would not move it to take him out to move his grave. And I'd be a little bit pissed off about that too. So me and her husband Matt did a ceremony. Well, we gave him a proper send off, proper military funeral. And once we got him back where it is, the Confederates and the Union soldiers finally quit fighting with each other, and they started singing and being
Wow.
being together. It's like they
It
finally
was
don't have to
almost like
fight.
they were drunk, Thomas.
Oh,
They were
it
so
was.
overcome with happiness that they were just like
Yes.
hanging on each other and laughing, and they
Singing,
were.
telling stories and talking about food, and there's a bunch of kids in that cemetery, and they were so happy that now that they get to go
Yeah.
play with each other and not have to watch this constant fighting of the men. It was just something that me and Lee and Matt is like that
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
like just so
Do you-
beneficial to
Yeah,
us.
I turned and was like, Blaine, look, there's the wife and children right there, and they're
Yeah.
watching him, and they're laughing. You know how Irishmen, the stereotypical, they're laughing and
Yeah.
kicking
Yeah.
up, their feet and everything.
Yeah.
That's what they look like.
Oh yeah.
And you
But
have to remember that during the Civil War, they wanted all these
Yeah.
people, brothers and brothers, to fight against each other.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
the next round of things that came in was the industrial thing, where they were importing people that they could pay cheaper wages to. I
Yeah.
mean, it was insult to injury. So the ones that didn't
Mhm.
die during that war,
Yeah.
and the lack of food and all the stuff, had to deal with the fact that it was hard to make a living.
Yeah.
The very people they wanted to fight for, the rights, of who's going to do what. Are we going to be our own America? Or are we going to be over a king or whatever? Those were
Yeah.
the people that were now suffering because they couldn't hold down a job.
No, there was no
It
jobs
is
available.
crazy.
I
Yeah.
mean, I couldn't tell you how many after the Civil War that became sharecroppers.
Right.
That's the only
Yeah.
way they could survive is they got to keep a little bit of the food they grew for the farm owner, and that lasted probably up until like the 40s,
Yeah.
early 50s down here.
Absolutely. I have one of my favorite ghost stories that I like to retell. It was a paranormal, investigation. There was a lady that fell in love with a Chinese man, and I could say that because back then that's what they were called. Her name was Hattie Jackson. She had beautiful red hair, and she fell in love with a man who was brought over to, and he was purchased, and he had a whole lot he needed to pay off and whatnot. If he would ever, there was no going home. They fell in love, and they couldn't get married, and he couldn't speak English, and he was allowed to go here and there because he was strong and working hard. And well, they fell in love, and she got pregnant, and
Oh,
he
boy.
walked in the middle of a big scandal. There was a big, and I can prove this historically. Her name was Hattie Jackson. I never got his name because I couldn't read it anyway. And so he walked in, and there was it was in the newspaper in Newberry, South Carolina. They bought a bunch of coal, paid for the coal, but they only got a small amount. And the rest of it they put in their pocket, and they said it was burning hot. Well, somebody, this is like the second or third time it happened, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're coming to see about it." And somebody showed up to do an audit, and they were trying to figure out, okay, where did all the coal go? Who did this? Oh, it's burning hot. No, it's not burning hot. It's not going down quick. Somebody's stealing. And this Chinese gentleman was at the wrong place at the wrong time. And do they hear? Can he understand what we're talking about? And they're like, his girlfriend Hattie has been teaching him English. So his whole point of, is he going to live or die, depended on whether or not they believed Hattie had been teaching him English and how their relationship had been going. So he sent her out, and she went to Newberry, and he said, "You'll know if they got me or not. If I show up, you'll know we're okay, and we're going to make a run for it. if I don't show up, they got me, and you need to run fast, and protect yourself. Well, she went and she stayed in the Newberry Hotel, and she was looking out the window as far as she could to see if he was coming. He never showed up, and she hung herself in the
Oof.
stairwell, and she was pregnant. So a lot of
Mm.
people thought she was cruel. Now, just like you, here I am talking to the spirit here, and anybody else would have been, had he killed herself and she was pregnant, what was her problem? She's an evil woman and all of these things. The truth is, she told me that she basically she was trying to protect herself and the child because she
Mhm.
knew they would get her. They'd be looking for her, and she would stand out, and the baby would stand out because it didn't even occur to me the child would be biracial.
Yes.
And they would know that he had told her. They would kill her, and the baby would probably end up being forced into prostitution or worse. I don't know if there's anything worse, but
They'd have been
anyway,
tortured.
yeah. It would have been a slave its whole life, and God knows what it
Mhm.
would have lived through. So death was actually,
A saving grace, sort of.
yeah, saving grace. It was much more humane for them to die than to live in what would have. There's much worse things than death. It's been said,
Oh.
and I feel like in this situation it was. So, and then all of a sudden I'm hearing a baby crying, and I'm like, oh my God, your baby's here. Then I started getting Mandarin, and I'm like, oh,
Oh.
he's here. And now the baby's talking to me, and the baby speaks English and Mandarin, and was able to
Wow.
explain to me that he grew
Mhm.
up in the spirit. And a lot of people didn't know this.
Mhm.
And now I've got some EVPs I can show
That's
people
awesome.
that are interested, that the spirits do grow up.
Yes.
I guess grow up is the right word. Truth is, they become one with we call the Great Spirit, so that
Yeah.
they become what they were before. They know all these wonderful things because everything that has ever been known and that will be known is within that energy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
But it's
they're all
vice versa.
together, and they were happy. And that
Yeah.
tells you don't judge.
Yeah. But it's vice versa too. You know, I had a case, and I don't want to get too far into it because it
Yeah.
is pretty spectacular. But I'm just going to put it in a nutshell. There was a young boy where his mother was in this, what they perceived as a cult, and he was pulled out of this cult by the two sisters of this woman, and they
Oh.
felt like he needed to be with more of a male presence, so they sent him to be with his uncle and
Oh.
aunt, which was the sister of his father that had passed away. So at the age of 7, he went to go live with these people, and you know he never got to see his mom again, so he felt abandoned. So that's the trauma, all right?
Oh,
At
okay.
that age of 7, but he grew up to be like 80 something years old and passed away. So the people that moved into the house after, the gentleman that lived there kept seeing a boy in the window, like looking to see if somebody would show up.
Yeah.
Now he saw a picture of this boy at that age because this other family knew of, the boy from before, so there was like some records done, and the gentleman that lived in the house said that's what I saw. So this guy grew up. So the thing is people got to understand that spiritual world doesn't know time.
Right.
Sometimes people will manifest at either their trauma or at their happiest time.
Yep.
Just because they died old doesn't mean that they can manifest as a child or at that time.
That's
And
right.
as interpreting this and
Mhm.
interpreting it, is this a trauma or is this their happiness? And that's why
Mhm.
when we have to talk to spirit, wondering, do you still want to be here? Is this your happiness while you're still here? Or is this your trauma and do you need help to,
Yeah.
us to give you the words to make the decision to move on? And that's what we deal with on a daily
Yeah. And
basis.
That's right.
what I do with them, Thomas, is I tell them, look, let me cross you over. I said,
Hmm.
you can go. There's stuff that you have to learn. Okay.
Yeah.
You gotta do these different steps. Now, the cool thing about this is you can do all the steps, but go back to any time zone that you want to, except for the
Hmm.
body you came out of. So
Exactly.
if you want to go up there and come back to this place later, you know what? And now you've got a lot more knowledge when you come back to it. So now
Yeah.
you can manifest your happy times if you want, or if you still want to keep that up looking for your mother out that window, that's what you need to do.
Mhm.
Do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So that's
Well,
why
we
we
experienced,
manifest.
Blaine and I experienced that. We talked a bit about this recently. I don't want to, go back through it again too much because I know our viewers, they've heard the story before. But we were at Sloss, and we had a situation where a man was trapped in a time loop, and we were able to kind of, anybody else would have called it a residual haunting, but it
Yeah.
wasn't. He was stuck in a time loop, and it was a
Yeah.
time when his wife and his children, he and his wife and children were all working together, and they had just come over and they finally got their own home. And it was before his wife and children or child was killed, an accidental death, and that he lost his mind at that same time.
Yeah.
So, then we have times where people are in two different spiritual dimensions, and we have to try to get them back together some way. So.
Mhm. It's weird. We have to understand all this stuff. And I tell you, there's a lot that I see out there in the paranormal, and I want people to be open, put the egos away, learn some from the people that have experience and go through these experiences. I told you guys about the murder house that I experienced, right?
Yes.
Have I told you about that?
Well, again,
I want to
tell
hear
again.
it again, though.
Now, the thing is
We
with the
said the
murder
same
house
thing, Blaine.
is what we're talking about is, that residual. Is it residual? Or sometimes it's both.
Yes.
I went in this house. There was a murder back in 1920. The guy that owned the house had 6 children, his wife, and then owned this tobacco field in this area in Connecticut, and had 2 boarders that lived next door to help them in the fields. So he went off to New York for some business, and when he came back, found out his wife cheated on him with one of the boarders. He became enraged and bludgeoned his wife to death in front of his 6 children in this home. So that energy was there.
That sucks.
Go years and years forward, the people that lived in the house are 3 guys. 2 of them actually had near-death experiences. One had just moved in. That's when everything started happening. It's almost like both of them, that energy of having near-death experiences in their life, created this to come about. You never know when you move in, somebody's energy together brings that energy out, and they did.
Yeah.
Poltergeist activity, shadow figures, the door opening and closing. So they called us out. We went out there and got the history, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. But the thing that blew my mind is with the SLS camera, it gives the green stick figures.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
So I'm pointing this to the area. It's a back room that used to be the kitchen. The place was renovated, so it's a back room. And this is supposedly where the murder happened. I'm pointing the SLS camera, and 2 figures pop up. In me, I immediately, the hairs on my arms stood up, and I knew this is different. And as I'm watching this occur, we're videotaping at the same time, and one of the figures looks like it's bludgeoning the other one, like it's reenacting the murder. So I'm thinking, well, maybe this is residual. Let me start trying to talk to it and see if it could listen.
Right.
And I could try and get the time loop. You know how you talked about loops and stuck in a loop. So I said to her, I says, you need to stop this. You can't keep doing this over and over and over again. This needs to stop. This happened in the past. Well, one of the figures moved off, and one of the figures stayed. But as the other figure moved off and I'm still talking, I could hear bangs on the wall. They're about as loud as 22 gunshots. Didn't come off as loud on the video because I had the cell phone going, so it doesn't pick up the sound as well. It was loud. It was very intimidating at the time. And we stuck in there and kept going. And the knocking stopped, and the figure was still on the SLS camera, and it looked like, it's kind of just sitting there. And I said to it, knowing the history, I said, if you're the woman that was bludgeoned or anything like that, I says, if you're the woman, you don't need to be here anymore. You have free will. You can leave and stop this loop. I said, all you have to do is reach out your hand, touch my hand, and you could leave It's up to you. It's your decision. The green stick figure on the video camera reaches out, touches my hand, and disappears.
That is
And everything
awesome.
just, all the energies just went away.
Wow.
One of the most amazing experiences of my life.
Right
and
on.
I talk about it a lot. I know I think sometimes I talk about it too much, but it's so profound that us as human beings have the ability to be able to help people make that decision to not have to be here anymore, to go join their loved ones in whatever realm it is and all that. And it's so special that we do have that understanding to be able to do that. And,
now Blaine and Christopher's probably sick of me saying this because they hear it every show. But I say that healing comes in all stages of life, including death.
That's true.
Yes, and we always talk about how they say to us all the time, on either through like the cell phone apps there's some that are really accurate, and then on ghost boxes they'll say we can affect you. And I always say that is so wonderful, and we can affect you. And that's what people need to remember in the paranormal field, that your intention and your underlying feeling can be felt by those around you.
Oh, God,
and it affects people. Okay. The intention, your initial intention towards anything. If you are a negative person, your energy at an event or at an investigation or, dealing with someone, eventually it's going to self-destruct if you have a negative intention. That is real. Those energies at an investigation are going to be drawn to you.
Oh, yeah.
That's why so many of us don't have experiences with negative entities, because we're not assholes.
Yeah.
That's right.
Sorry to put it like that. I can be,
Lee, when we have to, we're whole asses.
We're the whole thing. The stank and all. And we don't play fair,
You're right. You're right on that, because the thing is I tell everybody all the time, and they always ask me, when you get into the paranormal field, what's the most important thing to tell somebody? And I tell them simple, one word: everything that we do, intention.
Intention. Yes. That's why I wanted you on tonight. I saw you were watching, and I'm like, Thomas, thank you. My clerical error to the Fikes family ended up being a wonderful happenstance tonight to get that message out right there. I hope you'll come help us again next week, because we're about to have to wrap this one up. We got 2 minutes left. The Fikes family will be here. They're a real supernatural dynamo, supernatural super couples, what I call them. They're doing the Deep South Paracomic-Con, and they're mixing paranormal, the supernatural, paranormal, horror, and comics together, because they do live in the same, kind of in the same genre. And they've got so many wonderful things planned, and they allow everybody to, no matter. There's not a lot of paradrama. Anything they do, they just cut the crap. That's a beautiful sound. I love that train. I don't know who's got it, but that's beautiful.
I think it's
not me.
Chris, is that you, baby? Do you have the train? Okay.
Yes.
It's beautiful. I could sleep good to that.
Chattanooga Choo Choo, baby.
So how can people reach out to you?
For me, on Facebook, it's Thomas Patrick Gormley, TikTok, Instagram, Archangel of the Paranormal. I am also part of the Shaman in the Showman LLC. We are a promotional event group, and we do the Connecticut Paracon, the Salem Paracon. We have a new one this year. It is the Connecticut Witch Trials Festival, because last year, after over 350 or 45 years before Salem, all the witches or non-witches, whatever you want to think of, were exonerated. So we're celebrating the exoneration finally this year after last year's exoneration with a festival in Hartford. And it's very exciting. We do a lot of psychic fairs, usually spring, summer, fall, winter ones. So we got a lot of stuff coming up, events at different areas and all that. So it's
Well, you're going to have to add
fun.
the three of us, at least, you know, I don't know if Christopher feels like traveling, but Blaine and I, add us to your posse because, you know, we're places. I would love that.
I would love to have you guys come up because I always love giving you guys big hugs. I'm a hugger.
Me too.
Me too.
Big hugger.
Yeah,
and, you know,
I'd love
Blaine,
to have lunch with you again.
Oh, yeah, a little more clam
travel
chowder up
like
in the New
that.
England area, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think Christopher can travel much. He's got a lot on his, but we would have fun. Okay.
I would love to come down to your guys' area, you know. So
well, you know, we got to hurry because I want to
on.
use this as a replay. Here's our Cherokee blessing. May the warm winds of heaven blow softly upon your house. May the Great Spirit bless all who enter there, and may your moccasins make happy tracks in many snows, and may the rainbow always touch your shoulder. Aho. Thank you for watching Family Spirit International. We're out of here. If I could close it, am I going to do it? I can't do it.
Yeah.
Brandon, help me! Oh,
love you guys.
Bye.
Brandon?
Brother, take
Bye,
care.
buddies. I'll talk to you soon. I'll see you in a couple days, Blaine, on show.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Thomas.
Hey, Lee, remember
See you, Chris.
tomorrow,
Okay.
Thursday, and Friday.